Hey everybody, welcome back to the 505 Sports Venture Foundation. I'm Kurt Roth. I am grateful for the opportunity to talk to you every week. I want to thank my producer behind the glass, Adrian Compton, and Steve Davis up the stairs in the big chair, the president, who former UNM ball player, who gives us this opportunity every week to come to you. I'm really super excited about our guest today, and we're going to talk Lobo football. 24 days till kickoff, and there's a buzz. I know we're a little cautious in New Mexico football, but there's a buzz around Lobo football and Bronco Mendenhall. But one thing I want to point out, I have the Today's Albuquerque Journal sports page here, and it's an incredible edition. It's a great product. It's one of the best city sports pages in the country, in my opinion. And I want to point out today, right on the top of the headline, UNM beefs up non-conference basketball schedule. Well, kudos to Coach Richard Pitino. Kudos to Isaac Chu, associate head coach. Incredible recruiting. Kudos to the rest of the staff for putting this program together. But I want to just let you guys know and remind you that this roster, last year's roster, would not have happened without the partnership with our group, 505 Sports Venture Foundation. Because of your contributions, your help, we have put Lobo basketball back on the map, filling the pit, and now creating the best schedule in the history of Lobo basketball. That's because of our partnership. I'm asking you, stick with us. It's 505sports.org. Get on the bandwagon and help us make this all better. All right, we'll be back. We're going to take a break. I'll be back with our special guest right after this brief pause.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Jacory Krosky-Mirror here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated,
Rip,
plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
All right, we're back after that brief break. Hey, I'm reminding you, this is an Albuquerque Journal edition. I talked about the banner headline. Now on the side, 26 Lobos earn their jersey numbers. 24 days till the first game. And I'm grateful and I'm happy. And we've got Lobo beat writer Sean Ryder here. Sean, thanks for coming on.
Kurt, thanks for having me on, man.
So I'm excited as a Lobo fan. I know you have to be, you can't be a fan. There's no cheering in the press box. We know that. But great story. I mean, what other school has 25, 26 days before the first game has a deal about picking numbers? and celebrating as a team that the team decides this. I mean, what's that like when you interview these guys? There's a real palpable excitement about it.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't think there's a single school in the country that does anything similar. I mean, Mendenhall did it at Virginia a little bit too. Actually, not a little bit. Every single year he was at Virginia. But I mean, it is cool to talk to guys about earning their numbers. I mean, Luke Weissong was the first overall pick in terms of the number thing. It's almost like a draft in some ways. Everybody comes in, and then you're selected to pick your number and all that. And on one hand, he kind of told me, I don't think I would have cared if I didn't get my number 15, but the fact that I did get my number and I earned it in a way that I never had before is a really cool feeling, he said.
Yeah, so we look at this group, and I guess it's selected or voted by their colleagues, their fellow players. So that holds a special place, I think. It's not the staff per se. It's the guys they're on the field with. Any surprises to you in this group? Did anyone sneak in who you didn't think? I mean, obviously, Bronco has a system that we're not really that familiar with, and even though I've had it explained to me, it's a little vague. But the players get it, and they watch every day in practice and workouts. That's that's the main part of it. Any surprises? If this is the creme de la creme of the roster, 26 guys, any surprises of anyone who snuck in there?
I wouldn't say surprises. One thing that I will say is that you're dead on when you say there's a lot of things that we don't see and a lot of things that we don't know about the process. What we do know about the process is that there's 11 team leaders, so to speak, that were named after the spring, and those 11 leaders are all from different positions. So Weissong's the wide receivers leader, Devin's the quarterbacks leader, and so on and so forth. And those are the guys that kind of decide, okay, well, these are the guys that are going to pick their numbers first, and these are the guys that earned it in some ways. And I think the one thing, I wouldn't say there's anybody that really snuck in some ways, but Mendenhall has always kind of made a point. I remember talking to him in February about this. You don't have to be the best player, the most important player, the most talented player to earn your number, be in that first crop. If you're working as hard as we think you are working, as you're working as hard as your teammates think you should be working, you're going to be in a spot to earn your number. And he said, on the flip side, it's a really powerful message when your teammates tell you you're not deserving of a number quite yet.
Right. So, from what I understand, I've seen the statistical spreadsheet, and I mean, I'm a football guy, but I was like, wow, how does that work? And apparently, the players all know they get their own sort of goals set by position, by weight, by strength, and it's theoretically based on the NFL Combine stats, the Senior Bowl stats, and they wear the shirts also in practice. They change. Do you understand how that works? Like they're white shirts in the beginning, then they're red, then they get up to turquoise.
Yeah, they get. I think there's 5 different T-shirt levels. Everybody starts in white, I'm pretty sure, and then I think. White, I couldn't tell you what 2 or 3 are. I know 4 is red. I think 5 might be turquoise. I'm not entirely sure. I think I even asked Mendenhall about this, and he didn't tell me what the actual 5 were. But yeah, I mean, those are kind of your that's your daily feedback, I think, as Mendenhall has put it. Where this is where you are in the program, and this is a reminder of how far you need to go and how far you've kind of come in some ways.
Okay, so again, me, 52 years, Lobo fan. I've seen. I go back to my era in the 70s where UNM played Arizona, Arizona State, BYU, Utah were in our conference. That was it. UTEP, 8 teams, great rivalry. And I believe the 4 years I was here, we had 9 guys playing the NFL. Mm-hmm. And we were, only 1 year we were at the top of the Mountain West. We didn't win it, we came close. Now you see, we had the event in Las Vegas. We had the coaches picking the Lobos and who's going to make the all-conference team, blah blah blah. So Lobos didn't get picked last. They were close. Very few players were honored in preseason.
None were, yeah.
Right. Oh, none. Okay, that's less than very few. So. Is that your gut? Do you think that's accurate, or is that more based on reputation?
What I'll tell you about the preseason players thing is that I vote in the Mountain West media poll. I do that. What I'll tell you is that literally when you vote, I mean, like, not every single player from every single team is listed in some ways. You know, you couldn't go vote on Bobby Arnold as one of the first team DBs.
Bobby Arnold the third.
The third, excuse me. It very much is schools submit guys that they think will be nominated. Like Boise had a huge push for Ashton Genty and all that. Obviously, he's a dark horse Heisman candidate, you might say. But not really. I mean, there weren't any UNM running backs submitted and stuff like that,
okay.
from what I'm aware of. Actually, no, from what I remember in terms of voting. So I wouldn't take that as a huge snub in some ways. I mean, that's just how it plays out sometimes.
Bronco talks about earned, not given, right? Well, Lobos, 3 winning seasons in 17 years. I've heard that over and over, that you've got to earn preseason recognition. Preseason recognition, to me, is reputation and expectations. Very new roster, big turnover, not much success recently. It all makes sense. Anyway, that's us for segment 1. We'll be right back. We're going to try to sell you some stuff. Stay with us.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach. My teacher. My older sisters. My grandma. My brother. My tutor. My dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hey, look, it's Dwight Goodman.
This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh? I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet? Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight. Boom. Boom!
Stupid. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're in studio here, high above Central Avenue, with Lobo beat writer Sean Reeder. Sean, thanks for staying with us over the break. All right, so you've been at practice. This is fall camp, I guess they call it, right, in July. 2 games in August, unheard of. I think that's never happened here. And also, we've experienced at 505 when Bronco brings in players, we meet them. Many of them, probably about half the team, have some sort of NIL contract with us. So we interview them, kind of get a little bit of what they're like and where they're from. But we've got a lot of new guys, and a class that just came in fairly recently, right before the start of the summer. Anybody stand out? Well, we know, if you read his article this morning, you know there's a couple people stand out. But go ahead, tell us, for those who didn't read the paper.
Yeah, I'll pull one directly from the article. Pitt transfer cornerback Javante Royal. He's getting reps at boundary corner right now, and he's big, 6'4". I don't know his exact weight and all that. But a guy that Bobby Arnold Bobby Arnold III was the player quoted in the article talking about Javante. I mean, just 6'4", fast. That's a tough guy to run around in the boundary and stuff like that. That makes a difference. We've seen it was kind of up in the air about whether or not he was going to show up or be able to show up to camp. Still, J. Maeva Peters. He was the 2021 New Mexico Bowl MVP at quarterback. Right. His only ever start, I think, 2021. And then he got moved to running back at BYU. Ended up not playing at all last season. Now he's transferred here. I'm pretty interested in what he brings to the table. I don't know what his long-term role looks like in a really deep running back room, and I think I might probably say the same thing about Nakari Rogers. He's a guy that's flashed a little bit during camp at running back. Campbell transfer, put up good numbers there, and I think he brings something to the room for sure.
Well, that's pretty wild. We were talking about it before. The Lobos have some of, maybe they don't have depth here or there. We're not sure. But at running back, well, they're loaded.
Yeah, it was. I remember talking to offensive coordinator Jason Beck in the spring, and Beck told me, he's like, we're not as deep as we kind of hope we would be, but we got 3 really good options, and Andrew Henry, Eli Sanders, Javen Jacobs, and they went out and they made the room a heck of a lot deeper.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Of course, we're all concerned. The big question always is the offensive line. What do you see there?
I think the offensive line, it was, part of the spring for me was kind of watching the offensive line and thinking, having to check myself a little bit. I'm actually pretty okay in some ways with what I'm seeing out of the offensive line. This is kind of a surprise because you don't bring in 5 different guys from 5 different schools and expect that to work immediately. And I think there were some bumps in the road. I think there's going to be some more bumps in the road going, but they've gelled pretty well to start.
Yeah, I have to agree. I've seen a couple of practices, and they work in pods, I guess they call it. And pods come and go, and they race across the field. The whistle blows, and boom, boom, boom. They're doing punt drills or whatever. But the offensive line seems pretty cohesive in the drills. Now, live action is a whole nother thing. Depth comes into play. But I also they seem bigger. The line just looks bigger.
And it was a big offensive line last year, too.
Yeah, I just feel we've gotten size. All right, everybody wants to know, they all are concerned, quarterback. What's going on there?
I've liked what I've seen a lot out of Devin so far during fall camp. I mean, we talked to him last week, and he said, it feels like in some ways that in the past when he was in high school at Saguaro and even a little bit of last year, it was just kind of like looking for the open guy, not really making the full field read that you want to see out of a quarterback. And he said at this point, the game has kind of slowed down for him a little bit. And I talked to Luke Weissong yesterday. He says on the receiving end of that, he's like, I do see that. I can see that Devin is making his reads. I can see that Devin is finding us a little bit more in rhythm, and that's playing out better. So I liked what I've seen out of Devin so far. It is always a question you're not going to know until the lights are on and you're playing Montana State and then you're going to Arizona, how that's all going to play out. But we saw what Devin can do last year. It's just going to be a much larger sample size. Behind him, I couldn't give you a good pecking order in terms of who's the backup and who's the third string at that point. I don't even know if the coaches totally know yet. But Emery Floyd is a College of the Canyons transfer. Exact same skill set basically as Devin, just a bit more raw. Really good arm strength. He can run it really nice too. And then James Lobstein, he's a Sussex County community
New Jersey
college.
Junior College out of Connecticut.
Yes.
Connecticut kid. I loved him on Saturday. I saw him in some drills. Big, kind of pocket passer. Sets up. Looks over the defense, and he threw some really tight spirals on Saturday.
No, he's an accurate passer, yeah.
So I just wonder, what's that transition? JC, it's a whole different game. All of a sudden you're playing D1, and you talk about speeding up. What does that look like when you're on? All of a sudden you go from playing Mercer County Junior College on a Saturday at 11 in front of 100 people to, possibly coming off the bench in the middle of a game in Arizona or Auburn, this crowd pocket. That's a big transition for these guys.
Huge transition, and he's going to love me. I keep name dropping him. Talked about the same thing with Bobby Arnold III yesterday. In terms of he came from Dodge City Community College in Kansas, and what he told me, it's all about just the speed of the game and the different alignments and just how much of how much you have to process in such a limited amount of time at this level. And I've never done it. I can't imagine. Right. I imagine that's probably 10 times that when you're playing quarterback.
Right, because it's coming, and they're after you. You got to get to the quarterback. Well, it's funny. Before we take our final break, Bobby Arnold III was on here with me, and he told me one of the coolest recruiting stories ever. New Mexico had watched him on film, and he had been highly touted by a trainer in back home in Delaware. He had gone home from junior college, and the one question that it came down to, they said, "We like you on film. Are you taller than 5'7"? And he said, "I'm 5'9". They said, "We're going to offer you." Anyway, that's the science of recruiting. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with our special guest, Sean Reeder. Stay with us.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team's going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. CEO, baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
What's going on?
Who are you guys?
Well, sir, I'm gonna pick you up at the DWI checkpoint for drunk driving.
And that's when I have to come down to get you out of jail.
Well, temporarily. I'm Judge Torres. They call him the Hammer. Hey, hot off the presses, champ.
I'm real proud of you, honey.
Way to make them happy back home, Captain.
Who's that?
That's your new buddy in jail.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them, gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife, and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
Just a nice kid. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're here for our final segment with Lobo beat writer Sean Ryder. And we were talking off stage, off camera about the schedule. Interesting schedule. 2 games in August, which is unheard of or not precedented. First team is really good. Montana State. What do you know?
Yeah, I don't think we were talking about this earlier. I don't think the FCS preseason poll is out. I think Sam Herder, who's one of the best guys to follow if you're interested in FCS football, I mean, he does a tremendous job covering FCS. He's got him at number 4 in the FCS preseason poll. I mean, they're going to be a national contender. They did their OC, I'm blanking on his name, and they run a terrific offense at Montana State. Their OC did step away, so you do have a different guy stepping up and calling plays for them. But they're still expected to be really good. I mean, they took North Dakota State to the brink in the playoffs last year. They got Tommy Mellott coming back, their quarterback. He's going to be healthy. That was a big issue for them last year. They were kind of splitting quarterbacks and all that. Mellott's back. He's going to be a guy to watch for, and they got a standout defensive line, Brisby. This is a guy that potentially could be in contention to be an NFL draft pick at some point.
There you go.
And, yeah, I mean, they're cream of the crop of FCS. It's not Tennessee Tech. It's not Maine. It's it's a different deal.
Real team that's going to contend nationally at a step. I don't think Lobo fans or most college football fans really appreciate the difference. Maybe a little smaller overall, that level, but these kids really play football. And if you look at the pro rosters, they're full with guys from that level.
Oh, yeah.
So the Lobos have to be on their game. No doubt, people, you will see times when Montana State moves the ball. The Lobos aren't going to beat them like Maine 40-0 or whatever. All right, so we get that first win. Hard fought win. I'm no cheering in the press box, cheering here. Lobos are going to win that game. A week later, we're down in Tucson against two real good old friends, Coach G and our running back, Bill. Do you know anything about Arizona yet? I mean, new regime. So
new regime, and I thought they made a great hire with Brent Brennan. I love the job he did at San Jose State, which is a really tough place to win. Really, really tough. And the job they did last year, starting 1-5 and coming back to finish, I think 7-6.
Yeah.
Insane. So I think they made a great hire in Brennan. It's clear brings a lot of energy to the position as well. They got Fafita coming back at quarterback. I mean, he's going to be, if he takes the next step, he's going to be, in contention to be one of the best players in the Big 12, one of the best quarterbacks in the new look Big 12, I should say.
Oh, yeah. Arizona in the Big 12. Okay. All right.
And then, obviously, you got Bill to deal with. We'd seen Bill all last year and how good he could be, and you put him up behind a pretty good offensive line. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, I get a kick out of Bill. Transfer portal. Technically, Bill's at his third school after UNM because he went to Arizona, he was in Mississippi for 2 days, a week, a month?
I don't know if he even made it out, if he enrolled at Ole Miss.
Yeah, well, he announced he was going to Ole Miss. Ole Miss announced he was coming. Then he winds up back at Arizona. I got a call from a buddy in Florida who said, why would that guy go to Ole Miss? They have two potential NFL running backs on the roster. So maybe Bill got the message when he talked to the OC there. All right, so we start out there, and then a bye week before the third game, which of course is we used to call a body bag game at Auburn. Has there been any discussion about getting ready for 2 weeks and then a week off, or is that just college football?
Not yet. We have talked with Bronco about the idea of 3 bye weeks, and he has made it clear that it's something that he's never done before. It's something he's never partaken in. And to be honest, I don't know how much of a big a fan that he is of that. You start 2 games and then get that week off, and then have these other odd watches, but. Yeah, there hasn't been any discussion of it, but I don't think an extra bye will hurt going into that Auburn game, especially if you have some injuries and all that. Obviously Auburn lost to New Mexico State at Jordan Hare last season. We'll see what happens this year with New Mexico, but I do think this is going to be a better Auburn team. I think another year Peyton Thorne's going to help them. I think the run game's going to be a little bit better, and I think Hugh Freeze has kind of figured out. He did the whole flip-flopping on whether or not he was going to call plays last year, and then they got really hot, and then they lost to New Mexico State.
They didn't just lose to New Mexico State.
They got beat up.
They got beat.
Yeah, they got beat
New Mexico shoved the ball down. New Mexico State shoved the ball down their throat when it counted.
Diego Pavia suplexed the DB.
Couldn't stop them. Anyway, all right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. One more question. Just remind everybody where you picked the Lobos this year.
Picked them at wins or in the preseason poll?
Both.
Preseason poll, I had them second to last.
Okay. Wins?
I went back and forth on the preseason poll, but I had them second to last. I have a really hard time seeing any good football in Nevada this year, so they were last. Wins, definitely check back with me in... At the end of August. Check back with me around the week that Montana State week.
Okay.
I need to watch a little bit more camp.
I think we'll check back. I think we're going to try to get you on right before. I'm going to hold them to that check back. I see 5 or 6 wins. I'm going on that. I'm not any of this 2-3 win. Oh, if you can get that bet down in Vegas on over 2 wins, go do it if that's your thing. Anyway, that's it for another week at 505 Sports Venture Foundation program. Hey, go subscribe to the Albuquerque Journal. Get the print version while you're at it. It's great in the morning. One of the best sports sections, if not the best sports section west of the Mississippi. They have an all-star crew. The paper's great, and it's just filled. It's July. We've got football, basketball, United, Olympics. What else do you want? Go buy the paper. Anyway, I'm Kurt Roth. This is the 505 Sports Venture Foundation program. Check us out, 505sports.org. Get on board. Let's help this thing grow. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.